What I want to do is talk about the galactic alignment. Not the planetary alignment, the galactic alignment that's going to take place around the end of this year. It's been sort of lining for a few years now. But I'm going to explain that, and it needs to be explained properly. This is one of the subjects that is just eluding many people. And you hear, oh, the planetary alignment of 2012. I got it today. Someone emailed me and asked me about the planetary alignment, and I had to reply, well, do the chart. Go into any astrological site where you can do a birth chart and punch in the 21st of December 2012, and you'll see that there isn't any planets aligning except for the Moon and Neptune, I think, in Pisces, or the Moon and Uranus in Aries. So it's not a planetary alignment. So I want to get that done in the first hour. It takes quite a bit of time. So that when you look up in the skies, you're not looking at sort of, you know, just some stars, and it doesn't mean anything to you, right? It's like those people that walk through the, you know, the botanical gardens and, oh, there's a fir and there's a cedar of Lebanon, and you're looking around, and if you don't know the names of the trees, it's just green, right? But some people know all the names of the trees. Some people know all the names of the animals, you know, when they go to the zoo. And others look up at the stars and they say, there's Orion and there's Taurus, etc. Now, whereas knowing the names of the stars and how the celestial dome works above our head is of great value for many reasons. I mean, it's great to be able to name all the trees and the animals. It's beautiful. It's a delight. But to know the stars is something altogether different, because our cosmology, our religions, our sciences and philosophies, there's so much that comes from it. And you will see. Tonight I'm hoping that I can expand your consciousness and open your eyes to this fact that when you're looking up, you're looking at something very big. As above, so below. So what's going on up there, you'll actually see those you'll realise that as the philosophers like Proclus and Plutarch and all of those guys were saying, when you look up, you're looking at the cells in the mind of the God, which is the universe. Okay? So that's what we're going to go into. And we're going to spot the cells which make up parts of the heart, and we will see the correspondence in the human body. Okay, so as the zodiac goes around from Aries to Pisces, so your body, starting at the head in Aries, goes around that ecliptic that the sun takes every day, right? So that's the first hour. Second hour, we're going to talk about how we got in the mess that we're in. You look around and there's some stuff happening. I mean, today's, what is it, the 6th of March today, or the... didn't check the date. Confused. Yeah, well, it's 6th of March, okay? We're approaching the equinox and we're in 2012. We've been talking about this for... Some of us have been awake for many, many years, right? I've only been awake and knowing what I've put together here tonight, which you will see, for 4 years. I'm talking to guys here in this group that, you know, 20 years that have been awake. Rob here, I know he's been awake for decades, you know, but yeah, you're retired, you can go back to sleep. But, well, look, my path began 30 years ago. I started reading Immanuel Velikovsky in the early 80s. I was a teenager, late teens. And then after, around about the age of 19, I started being spiritual, and I ran to the Jehovah's Witnesses, had a Bible study and became a Jehovah's Witness, and stuck it out for 22 years. Wow. Right? Last meeting I went to was in 2005 in Japan. I was on a music tour, right? And I thought, oh, well, I better go and worship Jehovah in Japan, right? When I got back, it opened my eyes going to that trip, by the way. And when I got back, because I saw the Buddhist way of living, you see, the Shinto, and what I'm going to show you later on is that the Shinto religion is none other than the Jewish religion, and there's the proof. They all are. Now, when I came back, I didn't go to the meetings anymore, and the brothers would call around and they were worried about me, you know, oh, what's happening with Brother Santos, you know, he's not coming to the meeting, he's not serving Jehovah. But around about that time, I was what I would call, I was in limbo, because I wasn't anywhere, and I'd read a whole bunch of books. Graham Hancock, love Graham Hancock. And I love Immanuel Velikovsky because of his mythological approach. You know, he, like the guys at Thunderbolts, Wallace Thornhill and those guys, they grab the mythologies and they understand them and they apply them to, you know, present day cosmology, plasma cosmology and electric universe stuff, right? Because it is, that's all it is. It was good that I had the astronomical, the musical basis to fall on to have put together a lot of this stuff that you've seen on my videos. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to learn about what's up there, what's going on up there and how it matters, because it does matter. Now, when you look up on a star-lit night, no clouds, at any given time you will be able to see the Milky Way galaxy, right? It's always there. But what you're seeing is, as the Milky Way galaxy, of course all the stars are going around, appear to go around once every day, and then once every year, and then backwards, very slowly, in fact every 24,000 years, which is the cycle of precession. So we've got these three cycles we're dealing with. So if you're gonna be looking at the stars and you're going to be out there for an hour watching the stars, you will notice that in 1 hour they've moved 15 degrees. In 2 hours they've done 30 degrees. So they've gone through a zodiac sign. And in 24 hours the stars have gone right around. Now you'd be surprised how many people don't know this. I speak to many people about this and they, oh, the stars move? No, they're just up there. They don't move. Well, yes they do. Because they appear to move, because our Earth's rotating, right? So of course everything out there is going to move. It's like when you're on a train, you know, and the trees are going past you. Oh, they're flying past. Well, they're still, aren't they? But it's you, and that's the appearance, okay? So when we're looking up, we've got this one cycle, it's a daily cycle, yearly cycle, and we see slowly how the signs of the zodiac go around if we follow them. And then if you're able to live 24,000 years, you will notice that all of the stars have gone around once backward. Now I've explained this in other videos, so I'm not going to do that today, explain how the cycles work. I'm just going to explain how when you look up into the skies you need to look for two rings. And those two rings are the Milky Way galactic plane and the ecliptic, that cross each other at 60 degrees. And where the crossings are, where those fulcrums are, they are called the divine cross in the sky, and there's two of them. So more or less what you're going to have is your Milky Way galaxy will do a circle like this, right? So let's point over there for east, okay? I'm not sure where east is because I haven't got my bearings in this house. Now, in the evening you'll see the Milky Way come up. Oh, it might already be up, depends on where it is in the year. But let's say you're watching the Milky Way galaxy coming up over the horizon. It usually comes up more or less horizontally, whereas the ecliptic comes up vertically in the east. Okay? So what you're doing is you're getting an arm of the Milky Way galaxy basically that goes around, it sweeps around every day, right? And then 12 hours later, the other arm comes up, the other side comes around. Let me explain how that works, okay? Because you might be a bit confused at this time. This is a website here. Now, can the camera get that? Or should I move it a little bit? Is that in full view of the camera there? Because,
yes.
Okay.
Very much. And
can you all see that? Right, this is a website. It's just a, it's called media.skysurvey.org. Anyway, take a look. That's the Milky Way, right? It's on a plane, and it's a very, very thin plane. Okay, but this here is actually the centre of the Milky Way galaxy, and this is one of the portions you will always see. This part here you will always see in the east. That's the east. When you look at the horizon, the Milky Way comes, is here. This is the east as it comes up, you see. Now if I click on that, on the information button, There's the constellations, okay? So, and this green line is the ecliptic. You see how it intersects the galactic plane at 60 degrees? Now here is Sagittarius shooting upward. He's below the Milky Way galactic plane. And Scorpio rises above. There's the Scorpion. It rises above. And the tail is pointing to this black hole where the ecliptic and the galactic plane cross, you see. So here we have Capricorn. Okay, you can see here Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, and there's Libra. So you see how the ecliptic, which is the path where the sun always is, it never deviates. So the ancients observed that where the sun is, you know, they traced that trail of stars and they called that the ecliptic, and they placed these 12 signs behind that. And they're pretty much there. They are there. I mean, there's as I will show you later, that Scorpion, that relates to the generative area in the human organism. It's the phallic. Rising up. Okay? The phoenix rising up out of the ashes. That's what it is. So let's unclick that, because I want you to get a sort of a raw view of what you're looking at. Now, notice too that that looks like a serpent eating its tail, because as the Milky Way galaxy comes up, it sweeps up in the east and goes around. You're always following the Milky Way. It's like it's doing this in the sky, and it's perpetually going around like a wheel, because it is. If you imagine that to be the Earth, and let's put a plastic sphere around it, invisible, see-through, right? So you can see the Earth, and we call that the dome of the heaven around us. Now, if that is spinning around, right, and this is the Milky Way galactic plane around here, because the Milky Way, of course, goes out everywhere, because we're in the middle of it, aren't we? We know we're in a spiral galaxy. Well, we've been told this, so, you know, it's a bit like this, isn't it? And we're about here somewhere, two-thirds the way out, around about here somewhere. And this, what we're looking at here, is this, the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. And opposite that is where Orion is, out here somewhere. So we're going to be looking at these two divine crosses. These are the intersections where the divine cross happens. Of course, the zodiac must go around like this somehow. Well, it does. All right? So, but we know that we're about here, so anywhere, if we look to this direction, we're going to see stars. Milky Way, we're going to see the Milky Way. If we look that way, we're going to see the Milky Way. Wherever we look, any which way we look, we will see the Milky Way. Okay? Because remember, we're here, and the Milky Way is all around us. We're in the dish. Okay? So that's why it is always there. So let me just show you what happens when we swing around like this, and we follow this serpent eating its tail around in the skies. You see the Milky Way. It's always there. And you'll recognise the serpent eating its tail. There it is there, and we're back again. Let's just click on information now and see where we're going. And you're going to find some interesting stuff. So what we're doing now is we're going around. We're not following the ecliptic. If I was going to follow the ecliptic, I'd be doing this. There's Virgo. And it tells you the planet Saturn's in Virgo right now. Well, it's actually in Libra, but there's 30 degrees of slippage, of precession. So they say it's in Libra, but it's physically in Virgo. Okay? Well, I know, because I look out every night and see it. It's there. It's in Virgo. But when you do a chart, it'll tell you it's in Libra, and it is. Because, well, it takes a long time to explain why that is, but there's the 30 degrees of precessional slippage. Simple as that, and I've explained it in other videos, but that'll suffice for now. But see, there's the ecliptic, and there's Leo, and it's beautiful. Mars is right. Have you been looking out at Leo? Mm. Isn't it magnificent? Mm. And you see, there's the lion on the ecliptic with Regulus, the heart, on the ecliptic, basically, and there's Mars, the red star. There's only 4 red stars in the sky, and with Mars, that's the 5th red body that you see whenever you look up. And there he is, right in the body of the line. It's beautiful. So, but going back, I'm not going to follow the ecliptic for now. Going back, we want to go around 180 degrees. We're looking at this now, where the serpent is eating its tail. This is the Ouroboros. The Milky Way galaxy is the Ouroboros, man. You know those ladies have the little rings with the pearl on the top, and it's a serpent, and it goes right around. What they're doing is it's this. There's the pearl that the serpent... This is where we're going to align. We're going to align with this galactic alignment. That's what I'm going to be explaining, okay? So I'm going to wrap that around so it goes from here, where Scorpio and Sagittarius are, and go over here to where Gemini and Taurus are. And there you go. And this is where we're going to concentrate a lot of time tonight, okay? Because not only was that divine cross important, but this one is also very, very important. And it's going to blow your mind how it corresponds with your body, because you'll find that Taurus is here and Gemini is the arms. This is the arms. So the Milky Way galaxy intersects the human organism right here. The ecliptic goes straight through your body. That green line, that is the sun going straight through your body. Have you seen those Taurus fields where, you know, where Merkaba light chariot bodies we are, okay? And the Taurus field goes in through the head, it goes straight through the centre of the body. That's the ecliptic, that's the sun. Starts at Aries here. And that will start in 2 weeks. On the 21st of March, the sun will be officially right here. Now it's in our feet, Pisces, the two fish. Okay? As above, so below. Now, here we have the twins, and there's Orion. Notice, please, that Orion is below the Milky Way galaxy, and also what's considered to be below the ecliptic. And you see his outstretched arm is reaching out, and right above his arm, and Betelgeuse, the red star, remember there's only 4 red stars, yeah? Betelgeuse is here. It's about to go supernova too. And there's Orion. Right above his arm is the Divine Cross. And Castor, one of the twins of Gemini, there he is. Castor has his foot where the Milky Way galaxy plane and the ecliptic is. There's Castor with his foot on it, right? And there's Orion, and he appears to be holding up the Milky Way galaxy, and also reaching out for this little fulcrum where the 2 circles in the sky cross. Okay? Now those divine crosses, that cross up there, that's called the divine cross. Because, well, it's divine. God is up that way, right? That's how they thought. So they're divine things, and these are mundane things down here. We're on the mundo. The mundo is the earthly plane, so we call that mundane. And what's the mundane? Well, we know what the divine cross is now. But the mundane cross is the worldly cross of the cardinal points, the equinoxes and the solstices, because they also form a cross like this. You see? And I'll show you that later on. But when that mundane cross, the solstices and the equinoxes, meshes with this, as the cross-quarter days do, you see, if you've got solstice here, equinox here, solstice here, and equinox here, these are your cross-quarters days, aren't they? May Day, 1st of August, 1st of November, 1st of Feb. Cross-quarter days. Well, that's the 8-spoke wheel. And that is what's going to happen at the end of this year, officially. Okay, the 8s, they're going to mesh. Everything's going to align, and the cardinal points on the Earth are going to reach this point here, right here, where Pollux has been waiting with his foot patiently for 24,000 years, and Orion has been holding up his foot virtually. But on the other side, we have something else interesting going on. Let's go back to the other cross, 180 degrees removed, and what do we have here? Lo and behold, Ophiuchus, the 13th member of the zodiac. He's got his foot on the other divine cross. and another foot on top of Scorpio's back, because he is wounding him on the head and being wounded in the heel, as Genesis 1:15 says, the first prophecy in the Bible, or 3:15, whatever. I think it's 3:15. Remember, I hadn't been to the meetings for 7 years. Brother Elder is going to be very, very disappointed with me, isn't he? And I've got so many wires in here. So there's Ophiuchus. He's standing on, he's got his foot on the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. Ophiuchus is right there, and Orion is right here. But Ophiuchus, he's standing on top. There you go. He is, look at that, there's the Milky Way galactic plane, there's the ecliptic, and he is above both of them, whereas Orion is opposite. Okay? Take note of that. Pay attention to these things, right? Because this is so crucial. I mean, astronomers are studying astronomy for years and they never come to realise this, because this is what all of our ancient mythologies are talking about. When it talks about Jesus and he's walking through the circuit of Galilee, that's the circuit of Galilee, the ecliptic of the sun. And when the Good Samaritan's on his way to Jericho, right? It says that he's going into the inn to bring the wounded person, right? And he comes across a priest and a Levite, and both of them didn't help him. So he's carrying this wounded man on his donkey, and he goes into the inn. The inn is the ecliptic. Hercules, right? He's got 12 labours to do. That's the sun. The sun has got to go through 12 sectors of the sky. Right? So this is why it's important, because all of our mythology, from the Hindu world to the Mayans, everything comes from this. It all comes from the stars, or the science from as above, so below. Because the Holy Land is in your body. And this is what we're going to be discussing together with this. But there's a lot more here, so let's not rush. Okay? You digging it?
I like how he laughs after he says, let's not rush.
Yeah. Now, just a few things that I want you to notice as we go around here. As we go back here, I want you to pay attention to Orion. Orion is the only one of the heroes. There are 7 heroes. There's Hercules, Cephas, Perseus, Boetes, Ophiuchus. I've just mentioned him. Anyway, there are 7. And Orion is the most loved one. Orion is the most loved one. But there he is in the south, because he is Osiris. And have you heard that Osiris is the king of the bottomless pit? Well, that would be everything below the Milky Way galactic plane, or below the ecliptic. That's the bottomless pit. And there he is, he's all alone. All of his 6 other heroes, Boetes and Ophiuchus, they're standing on top. They're in the northern skies. He's the only one in the south. He's the king of the south. And when you realise that when as the sun goes backward through precession, and it finally hits this point here in Taurus, which it did 6,000 years ago, by the way, because since the sun entered, when Egypt was a great empire, when the sun was in Taurus, and then it came to Aries, and now the sun is, of course, we say it's in Pisces, and now Aquarius. There's Aquarius, and there's the sun. There it is on the ecliptic. There's Jesus on the circuit of Galilee, preaching with his 12 apostles. Well, in that space of time from Taurus to here, that's 6,000 years. Remember, the sun is in a sign for 2,000 years, thereabouts. So you see why the last 6,000 years they've said that we have fallen, because the sun has fallen below the Milky Way galactic plane. In one sense. There's many other senses, but this is one sense. When you know what's going on up there, you know the story. You already know it without having to interpret it, because it's not interpretable. It's how this works, and this is why it's so urgent that one and all we learn this science of the stars and work out these 2 rings in the sky. I'm going to do that tonight and spend a lot of time on it. Let's leave that for a moment, but I want you to focus. Now, if I unclick this information, you will notice there's a lot of red stuff happening here. That's Orion. And there's only another place here, and that would be, that is also a lot of nebula, and that would be Argo, the ship. There it is, Argo, and there's Orion. But there's nothing like the Orion Nebula. I'm going to be talking about that too. I'm going to spend some time on that, and that's going to blow your mind what's in there. It is absolutely mind-boggling. Let's get to these rings, shall we? And I hope the cameraman's able to keep... Oh, should I leave that? No, I'll do another one. Let's work out these rings. So if we draw the, let's do the Milky Way, you know what? Aren't I a good boy? I brought the spray along because I thought this sometimes happens, you know, some stubborn... I like clean boards. So, and let's go with a... So let's do the Milky Way galactic plane, shall we? All right, and of course it's not that, we don't see it like that. We see it like it's pretty thick, but it's really, if you go way out in space and look at, it's like all the other spiral galaxies, very thin. Because what's happening is they're twirling around and everything's just going whoosh. Like if you've got a bicycle wheel and it's full of mud, right, and you spin it around, the mud just flings out in one direction all around, right? That's what's happening with the Milky Way. From the centre, it just ejects its stars as it goes around and round in a spiral. So, and then we have, crossing that, we have like that, okay? That's the ecliptic. And now you've already seen how they cross at 60 degrees, okay? So here's the two fulcrums. Let's try and make that a little bit nicer there. And here they are. That's the divine crosses. That's where they cross. And here we have Gemini, the twins. So let's just put the twins there. The twins. Here we have, and Taurus is here, so let's put the bull here, below. And Orion is right next to, is in Taurus. So there's Orion, remember? He's holding it up, he's holding this fulcrum up. So we go from Taurus, then we go, let's put Aries about here. Aries, let's put Pisces here. Where will we put Aquarius? Take note of Aquarius's sign. That's the Egyptian hieroglyph for water and the letter M and N. I'm just mentioning that now because later on it's going to mean a lot. Have some significance. Capricorn. So, Capricorn and Sagittarius would be here, pointing to the other fulcrum. And Scorpio, of course, he is right about here. Libra. Then we have Virgo, and I'm going to put it like this because it's just Mary. Look at the glyph. It's Mary the Virgin. Virgo. Leo, so we've got Leo and Cancer. Okay, nice and slow for you. Beautiful. So what we're noticing now, I want my red texter. So, I thought it was somewhere around. Now I'm going to do this. We're going to make this red because this is, what is that? That's all the signs below the Milky Way galactic plane, because here's the galactic plane, okay? And what I'll do is I'll make that a little bit more A little bit more obvious, hey? Because the Milky Way galactic plane there's stars all over like this, right? It's a fluffy, white, motherly looking thing, because it's our mother. There it is. And of course this ecliptic is a nice thin line, 17 degrees wide, and the sun never deviates from there, okay? So you see, what happens is, these are the constellations from Scorpio to Gemini that are above the Milky Way galactic plane. And these 6 are the ones below. Now, what we need to do, you will remember my graph for the ones that have seen my videos, okay? If we take this to be the Earth and this to be the equator, and we have the Tropic of Cancer here, the Tropic of Capricorn there, the sine wave goes like this. What sine wave am I talking about? That one. It wraps around right around the globe, but I'm going to be doing it like that for now, just to sort of shrink it in so that we can put some information in there. But that sine wave, this is an old map. This is about 500 years old, I believe, this map. I might be wrong, but there's a little glyph here, and you know what it is? Aries. Because the sine wave begins with Aries. It always does. Starts here on the 21st of March. Okay? The equinox. Thank you. Solstice. September 21st, equinox. Solstice. And there it is, and if you follow the glyphs, they're all there, because everything starts at Aries. Right ascension is there. The year starts there, the blossoms, and there's a lot of reasons, scores of reasons. And as you will see in a minute, that's where the head begins. You see, you put the head there of the human being, wrap around, and the feet are here in Pisces. So what we have, the spring months, the summer months, the autumn, fall months, because the sun is falling now below the equator. That's the fall. And there's winter. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around here and make a circle out of this, and just quickly show that the Milky Way galactic plane runs through here. That's where it runs, okay? In between Taurus and Gemini, and Sagittarius and Scorpio. And we've already seen that, okay? Now, let's take another little detour, because I need to add some information to this. So keep that in mind. There's the sky chart. What's this? This is, see, it's divided into 12 parts. You remember that dome I described? It's all there. And there are 48 constellations plastered through there. Modern day astronomers tell you that there are 88, and there are, because since Ptolemy, 40 constellations have been added by scientists, doctors, astronomers and famous people through the ages. So we have now 88 constellations, but regardless, the 48 are required for you to remember and learn so that you can get this science and understand what really is going on upstairs, and then relate it to what's going on in this ecliptic, right? The Chinese acupuncturists, they know where all the 360 points are, especially all the meridians. This one's the most important one, and they start that from here. Yeah? You know what they call this? Polaris, the North Star up here. Now, and see, the Milky Way galactic plane intersects here. There's, for instance, there's Orion, just under, and there's the Milky Way galactic plane there. Okay? And there it is again, over here. They've depicted. It's very hard to see on this, but regardless. And that comes from this book, The Light of Egypt, by Thomas H. Burgoyne. I'm going to be reading out of this later on. This is one of the books that teaches all this science, okay, in the best possible way. Very, very powerful book. And this comes from here. So you see Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so the body of the human being, starting with Aries. Sine wave is in the middle, always at Libra. There it is, the equinox. It's always in the middle, in the kidneys. And it goes down around to Pisces, the 2 feet. There's the 2 feet. There's Gemini, the 2 arms. Gemini, okay? So already you've noticed then, and I've got a better graph for you to see this. Already you will have noticed that as I have here, this circle here, there it is there, Aries is over here, you see? Now notice the human being here, there's the head, which is Aries and Taurus. Please remember that, okay? This is really important, because that's where the head is. The head is in Aries and Taurus. Because when we go and look into the Orion Nebula, you're going to be really, really blown away with what stars are to be found here. And I'll give you a hint. The Pleiades. Wouldn't they be the most precious stars in the sky, those 7 sisters? Wouldn't they be? Yes, it's the jewel in the sky. It's here. Right here. In Taurus, okay? Orion, killing the bull. That's the left brain, the male brain. Being a bully, killing the right brain. That's Abel. That's Cain. Orion killing the bull. Cain, Abel. This guy has been out of action for a long time, and that's because we've been using the right hand and we've fixed in the left brain. And that we'll get to in the second half. The controllers have made sure that we stay here. And we're all boys. It's all patriarchal out there. Climb that ladder and you can be the CEO one day. So there's the equinox there. These are the solstices. They're the cardinal points. You see, cardinal. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Now, as I said before, the Milky Way galactic plane runs through Taurus and Gemini. So let's just do something like this, and I'm going to regret this, because my niece is going to have to make a new one now, because this is probably, But I just want to do it for your benefit, so that we can get the point. There's the Milky Way galaxy. It goes through between. Remember, these two guys, they're pointing to the centre of the Milky Way galaxy, and then opposite that is Orion and Gemini, where the other action is happening. We're going to concentrate on these, okay? But I want you to pay attention to something very interesting here. You will have noticed already that the torso runs from here, this fulcrum. Gemini, of course, is the top, remember? That's Gemini. Get rid of the head, and there's Gemini below. And remember I said Scorpio is the generative area, that's the bottom of the torso. All of it is in the northern skies. And the limbs, there's 4 signs in the limbs. There's Sagittarius here. See where it starts here, Sagittarius, these 4. And this, the head, are in the southern skies, where Orion is, you see, where the king of the south is. Pay attention to that. So you see, and there's obvious reasons where we're going. Remember, Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, was down there in the generative area at the bottom of the spinal cord, and he's carrying the serpents. Would that be the Kundalini and the Kundabuffa? Yeah. And so, good old Ophiuchus, he's down here, He's down here in Scorpio, like with his foot on Scorpio, and he's the bottom of the spinal cord. And of course, through meditation and many, many other things, just pure virtues and good breathing, good eating, good habits, and even sexual practices, one is able to, but meditating mostly, one is able to bring the serpents of Ophiuchus up to meet his brother Orion in the pineal gland. You see? And that's the sun is doing that. As the sun goes through the ecliptic, every year on the 22nd of November, the sun goes through that divine cross. And on the 22nd of May. That's the 22nd of May. That's the 22nd of November. So Ophiuchus begins his journey there. And he goes up the spinal cord. Because remember, there it is. There's Scorpios down here and Gemini's up here. He's got to get up to Taurus, his brother, to the pineal gland. And this is what's going on. It's going on all the time. Because when you begin to understand that as the sun who lives in Leo, there he is, there's the sun, the symbol of the sun, you know, you've seen that before? Target and all of these corporate logos. As the sun goes from Saturn, who is lead, and the sun is gold, do you know the alchemical element, metals for the planets? The sun is gold, the moon is silver, Saturn is lead, Mercury is quicksilver, Venus is copper, Jupiter is tin, and Mars is iron. So as the sun goes around from lead to gold, there's your philosopher's stone. He's turning lead into gold because he goes through all those metals, right? And he always, this is the winter Aquarius over here, lead. Summer, gold. And that's what's going on here. Now, let's get back to this, shall we, and a bit of science. What's going on here? Well, we are now about here in the sun's journey. The sun goes around here every 24,000 years. So, for the last 2,000 years, we've been in Pisces. And then, so that was what we call, this is what we call the Christian period of our history. The Jesus period. Whoops. No. Is that a, how do you spell Zeus with an S?
Yes.
I was right. Pisces, see the ruler? The ruler of Pisces is none other than Jupiter. The two fish. Remember the Christians, they wear, they put this and they have 4 Greek letters in here, don't they? Jesus Christus, Son of God in Greek, okay? 5 letters, and they call themselves the fish people. Well, because the sun has been in Pisces, ruled by Zeus, Jesus, for 2,000 years. And his other name in Roman is Peter. Jupiter, the rock. One of the deacons of Pisces, guess what it's called? Cephas. In the Gospel of John 1:42, Jesus sees Simon Peter coming along. Simon Peter, and he goes, I'll call you Cephas. One of the deacons of Pisces is Cephas. So here is Jesus, Zeus, Jupiter or Saint Peter and Cephas, all in the one sign. And we've been in here for the last 2,000 years. And what does Zeus do? Well, Jupiter is the greater benefic in astrology. He gives you all the blessings and all the sweet fruits. Everything good comes from Jupiter. He's the greater benefic. Venus She's the lesser benefic. Saturn's the greater malefic, and Mars is the lesser malefic.
What's that mean?
Malefics in your chart, in your astrology, give bad aspects, or give, if Saturn's in your Aquarius, for instance.
I know that's like.
Right. So you know that Saturn then is the malefic. Yeah, he's the naughty boy. He's not the Messiah, right? He's a very naughty boy. And then Mars also. Mars also, between the two of them, according to this guy, 90% of your illnesses come from Mars and Saturn. But Jupiter, he's the one that says, I'm going to give you all the good things. He's magnanimous. That's why Zeus, Jesus, turns up in the New Testament and says, you must love your enemies. The other god, Mars, Aries, in the Moses period, and I'll prove that Moses is Mars, another word for Mars in a minute. But the Old Testament was here, and the New Testament's been here the last 2,000 years, has it not? And the Old Testament guy, can anyone remember what God was like in the Old Testament?
Pretty nasty.
Hate your enemies. Kill the Canaanites and the Philistines and the Perizzites and the Jebusites. Get the Holy Land, kill them. Get their kids, grab them by the feet and dash them up against the tree. That's the god of... That's Mars. Mars is martial.
God of war.
Yeah, so that's why the Old Testament says, I am Jehovah, I am the God of armies. In Ezekiel he mentions it 60 times. I am Jehovah, I am the God of armies. And we worship you? He's a killer. Mars is a killer. He gives you, when you taste bitter stuff, according to the astrologers, that's from Mars. All the bitter things, which is essential to your diet, by the way, bitter. Okay? But the point is, that's the character of Mars. So we see how the Mars period of Moses, the god of war and hate your enemies, Zeus turns up in Pisces and says, you must love your enemies. I'm magnificent. Forget about Mars. Oh, he's a warlike dude. I'm Jupiter. But Jupiter's also a tyrant. Okay? So, and Mars, have a look at Mars, guys. Remember Mary? Mary, Mars, it doesn't matter. It's all the water, maritime. Maritime, marine, all the mare words. Okay? So that's Mars, that's Mary, and that's Moses. What does Moses mean? Egyptian and Hebrew for out of the water. Water. You see, so the water, Mars, Mary, and all of those associations had to do with that violent time when all the kingdoms of Egypt was here. Egypt, Babylon, Assyria, Medo-Persia, Greece and Rome. All of the 7 world powers have been in this martial period of history where war began. It began for probably, go back 5,000, that's 5,000 years ago from where we are now, 2012, guys. So there's where supposedly the historical Jesus turned up, when Pisces coincidentally began. I mean, it's so easy to tell that all of this stuff's a fiction. It's so easy to bust it. It's ridiculous. It's amazing to see that churchgoers are still so blind to going to church to be saved by some vicarious saviour. What, you can't save yourself? They come knocking on your door and we want to help you to find Jesus. Well, I didn't know he was lost. Was he lost, was he? He's lost. They've lost Jesus and they're going to help you find Jesus? If you haven't found it in yourself, because that's who the Gospels are talking about. The Jesus in the Gospel is you. It's us. Of course it is. And I shall endeavour to prove that tonight if I haven't already in my other astrotheological presentations. So what's going on is this. This guy, Castor, is standing on here and waiting for something. He's been waiting there for a long time, and I'm going to explain that right now. And the fucus is over here. And remember, of course, the torso, how this is the spine. This is the whole length of the spine. And then the head is here, of course, where all of this nebula and stuff I'm going to show you is. It's going to blow your mind. But first of all, what is the galactic alignment then? Well, I've already said that it's the 8-spoke wheel and everything like that, but how do you work it out? Well, this is how you work it out. See, these cardinal points in this science, they always remain fixed, regardless that there's this slippage that I spoke about before. See, this particular cardinal point of March the 21st, the equinox still happens there on March the 21st. That hasn't changed. That's why you leave that alone. But the sun is not there. Is not in Aries on that date. It's in Pisces. Because the stars are going backwards. Remember, they're going every 24,000 years, they go backward in the sky. And they do one complete circle. We're coming to the end of that. And how do I know that? Because we're aligning with the galactic plane. Once that alignment takes place, where the galactic plane is in line with our equinoxes and solstices, that is the long-awaited fulfillment of the prophecy that this guy, Aquarius, the Son of Man, shall finally return in his kingdom. When we finally, on the 21st of December 2012, we are officially in Aquarius. And that is when the dragon's breath, the photon belt, or the light of sign, whatever you want to call it, all the prophecies have a different name for it. That's when it returns, in the age of Aquarius. And lo and behold, if the equinox is going to be happening there, it's also going to be happening in its opposite sign, Leo. In fact, many astrologers say we're entering the sign of Leo. It's not the age of Aquarius, because they go by the autumnal equinox, not the vernal. You see? So always remember, yeah, we're entering the age of Aquarius because we've established that and we've agreed that it's... But opposite that is Leo. Leo is the one, because of the stars of Leo. Let's have a look why Leo is so important. Leo is the only one that can boast that it has one of the 4 stars. See the 4 fixed signs: Aquarius, Leo, the Bull, and Scorpio. They've got very impressive stars in them, but none of them are right on the ecliptic. Only Regulus is. Regulus is the famous star that everyone knows is sitting right on the ecliptic. Let's have a look. Where do we go? Find Leo. Backwards this way? No, the other way. Well, lo and behold, see Regulus? Right on the ecliptic. Cancer, sure, but Cancer stars are faint, and it's not one of the fixed signs. The fixed signs are so prominent in this science. These are the fixed signs, okay? Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio. Now remember, Taurus and Scorpio, they're the ones that are sitting right on the galactic plane. Yeah? Taurus is just underneath it, Scorpio is just above it. Tonight, at 1 o'clock, if it's clear, go out. After tonight, we'll probably finish at about 11 tonight, so you drive home and then just check out the stars. Look to the west and you'll see Orion going down head first. There's the horizon. And there's Orion going down head first. Down this way. And guess who's rising? Who's coming up on the other side? The letter J for Scorpio. Because that's what it looks like, the letter J, Judas Iscariot, the traitor of the sun. Check it out tonight, it's beautiful. Magnificent. You see Scorpio rising and Orion going down. You're seeing the 2 fulcrums at 1 o'clock. And it'll only last for about a month or so, and pretty soon you won't be able to see, in a couple of months you won't be able to see Orion anymore for 6 months. And you'll just see Scorpio. You'll see that what they call the summer stars. These are the winter stars. These are the winter stars, all of these above the equinox, above the equator. These are the beautiful, what they call the winter stars, even though it brings summer in the northern hemisphere. Do you understand why? They're called the winter stars when it's really summer. Because, for instance, they'll be in mid-June, right? In mid-June, they go out at night, they see these stars. The summer stars, because they're in summer. But now, as we are now in sort of around this period here, where are we now? We're here in Pisces, and we're coming out of this. These are the stars that are visible, the winter stars. So what's happening is this. 2,000 years ago, the sun made its journey through Pisces, and finally it's arrived here at this fixed point. These fixed points, take note, there is a man, a lion, a bull, and this is replaced by the eagle. Okay, Scorpio is also shared with an eagle and a serpent. So when you read in Ezekiel chapter 1, the first chapter of Ezekiel in the Jewish Hebrew scriptures, that God has the face of a man, a bull, and an eagle, and a lion, that's the God that we're waiting for. We're waiting for the fixed cross above our heads. We've been in the mutable cross for 2,000 years. Now, when you know your astrology, you understand what that means. Mutability is change. Big change. Fixability, those 4 signs there, you check them out. Check out your Taurian friends. They're like a rock. Check out your Leo friends. Those fixed signs, your Aquarians. You'll notice they're fixed. Mutable people, they're more sort of changeable and I don't know whether you should call it flexible or whatever it is, but there's this quality about the mutable signs. I pick it straight away, you know, I just pick it when I get near people who have one of those signs. But what it means, well, what does it mean? Well, let's have a look. For the last 2,000 years, the sun has been in Pisces, the Virgin, the Twins, and Sagittarius. They're all signs of duality. Here you have half man, half beast, or basically the human being becoming the hero, or the animal becoming the human being. Take it. Whereas the opposite of Sagittarius, you've got Pollux and Castor. Pollux is divine, the divine son of Zeus, and Castor is the immortal son of Zeus, Pollux, and Castor is the mortal one. Pollux, Castor, they're the twins. So you see, we have this mutability and duality. We've been in a lot of confusion. When you think of, and also, let me just finish that off. Pisces, this guy here, he says, I doubt. This one says, I believe. I know. I am. I have. I think. I feel. Right? I doubt, I believe. What's Christianity all about? Doubting and believing, isn't it?
Faith.
Yeah. But what are we coming up to? Knowing. Aquarius knows. It's fixed air. Air is mental. We're going to know up here. We're going to be baptised with the waters of Aquarius, which are spiritual waters. Consciousness, the photon belt, the dragon belt. And it only happens here and here. This is the dragon's belt. The photon belt only happens in this, in the 24 to 26,000 year cycle of precession. That's the only place you're going to get it.
So if Aries is the age of the god of war, and then Pisces is the god of peace, does that mean Aquarius is balance?
Well, first of all, though, Rob, this is not the god of peace, Jupiter, because
love or whatever you say for Jesus.
Yeah, he's more forgiving and don't hate your enemies, love your enemies now,
Yeah,
right? So, so his character comes through in the Gospels, the character of Zeus. But this guy, this is the guy where Jesus, the apostles say to him, where shall we prepare the Passover? And he says, go into the city and you'll see a man with carrying a water urn, something with water. He says, follow him to the upper chamber. And that's where we will have the new... That's Aquarius. Because, obviously it has to be. A man with the water. Usually the women do that. Yeah. It's obvious. It's the symbolism is there, saying, yeah, I will be with you till the end of the ages. That's when Jesus says, Be firm and stay strong and keep the word. I will be with you until the end of the age. Well, that's what it means. Zeus is going to be with you, and then when Zeus gets to this point, which is at the end of this year, he hands over to guess who? Saturn, his daddy, Kronos. Old man Kronos, he's the father of Zeus. Remember, Zeus managed to, Hera or Rhea, one of Zeus's wives, remember Kronos was eating all his children, and she wrapped the stone in cloth, and she gave it to Kronos, and he ate the stone and thought it was one of his babies. So because the prophecy said that one of your children will come from you and they will defeat you and will take the kingship away from you. Now that's explainable, perfectly explainable, but I won't go into it today. There's many ways I can explain that. But see, what's going on with this galactic alignment is finally the prophecy of, see, the Lord is returning. This is the Lord. The fixed signs. We're going to be fixed again. We've been mutable all over the place. Duality, mutability. You know, you don't know whether you're a god or an animal or a man. You don't know whether you're divine, or you don't know whether you doubt or whether you believe. And guess what Virgo does? Virgo's all about service, isn't it? Mercury. There's duality there. That's all full of duality. You see? And what's Christianity all about? It's about, you know, punishing yourself with doubt and belief and guilt and all sorts of rubbish, and service. There's the fish and there's the bread. This is the harvest season. So they are symbols of Christianity. Jesus went to Mount, you know, the Sermon of the Mount, and he fed the masses with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And the bread and the wine, where does that come from? Well, the bread comes from here, from Virgo. The wine comes from September wine, where you make the wine in the Northern Hemisphere. That's why they drink tobacco. And they say, per bacco. In Italy, my relatives say, per bacco. You know, because they're saying, good on ya, bacco, thanks for the wine. It's the sun. Bacchus is the sun. Krishna is the sun. Brahma is the sun. Vishnu is the sun. You seen how many arms Shiva has? How many arms does Shiva have? He has 4. Because guess who Shiva is? The destroyer. And who's the destroyer? Mutability. The creator, the preserver, the destroyer. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Generation, operation, dissolution. How many more do you want? Birth, growth, decay. Everything does it. This is the decay. We've been in the decay. The Shiva. See, Shiva's got 4 arms. Why has he got 4 arms? Because there he is, the destroyer, the destroyer, the destroyer, the destroyer. How many arms does... See, that's Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. The preserver, the creator, the preserver and the destroyer. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And they've all got 4 arms. Check it out. Google it. I can do it now if you want. But there's Shiva with his 4 arms. The destroyer. The mutable signs of the zodiac. He is the destroyer, and that's what we've been destroyed in Pisces. We've been hammered. It's the Iron Age. It's the thickest, the darkest age, and it's always darkest before the light. And that light is coming, the light of Aquarius. So that about explains the alignment. Okay, there's more to it than that, but you need to keep simple. Just let's keep it simple. But what's happening is finally, as the sun has been doing that, it's now caught up to the fixed signs. And that's what's been looked for. It's stability, fixedness. Remember, the preserver. Create. You look at your cardinal friends. How many cardinal friends have you got? Have you got many Aryan friends like me?
I am one.
Yeah.
I am one.
Yeah, absolutely fiery and cardinal, man. You go straight, don't you? Yeah. Do you like being held up, you know, behind people, or do you want to be at the front? Right? You like to do things quick. You like to do things, and you make decisions on the spur of the moment. You have confidence and will, and yeah. And so do these guys. They have their cardinal. The cardinal guys are direct. You know, they've got this creator, because that's the creator energy, and this is the preserver. These guys like to change things to keep them the same. They love sameness. You'll find that they love to keep things the way they are, or change everything to make sure that things stay the same as they are forever. These guys want to start things, these guys want to finish things. These guys get stuck with things. And this is the science of everything. A whole lot of it. This is three-phase creation. Birth, growth, and decay.
But we're actually moving the other way.
Yeah, we're going. Yes, in the processional wheel we're going the other way, but yearly and daily we go this way. Let me explain. Good question, and very good to explain this. This point here is the start of the year, the spring. So basically what that stands for, that's the equator. Remember, this is the equator, yeah? Right? So these are the signs above the equator, and these are the signs below the equator. Don't be confused with this. This is different. This is the galactic plane. This is the equator. Right? Don't be confused with that. Every day, this happens. Every year, this happens. Every processional year is backwards. This happens. Simple as that. The day and the year go one way. The processional wheel goes the other way. It's a bit hard to explain in like 5 or 10 minutes, and I've only got a half an hour before the break, and then I want to finish with this. But my videos do cover it and explain that. But here's one more thing you need to do. You need to put 6 AM here, 12 midday, 6 PM, 12 midnight. Right? So you've got 6 AM over there in the east when the sun comes up. That obviously has got to be 12 midday. The sun's usually up there at midday, right? And it's usually down there at midnight. and sunset's over there. So you can pretty much give it a value of 6, 6, 12 and 12. March the 21st, June the 21st, September the 21st, December the 21st. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to pin the start of the year, the 21st of March, to this point, and also give it a value for the daily cycle of 6 AM. When you master those two cycles, then you overlap that fella, which is you, over it, and then you have the 3 cycles, and with this knowledge, you have the fundamentals of the science of as above, so below. Because whatever is going on up there is going on down here. Let me explain that now. So, remember I said to you, now I'll take that information button off so you can see what I'm doing. You digging it so far? Yeah, good. Notice, let's go around and notice how beautiful this part is where, of course, Sagittarius and Scorpio and Ophiuchus are. This is the one divine cross. That's so beautiful. And of course, you've got all this red stuff where, no, that's not where Orion is. But see, it gets a bit thin here. And what stars have we got here? We've got Cassiopeia, Auriga, which is right next to Taurus. Perseus is here, along the Milky Way galactic plane. And there's nothing quite like those other stars except for all this stuff that's going on here with Orion and the ship Argo. That's Jason's ship, by the way, Argo. It's Noah's Ark.
Golden Fleece?
Yeah, the golden fleece is here. They're always looking for the golden fleece, just like the Jews, the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. And Jesus is the Lamb. Orion is the Lamb. Orion is here. This is all the Lamb area. This is in the head. The Lamb is in the head. Right? The land flowing with milk and honey is in the head, because the milk comes from the pituitary gland and the honey comes from the pineal gland. It's all symbolism. It's all the Holy Land. Man, you've got a constellation that's in here that's called Fornax. Well, what's your fornix? Isn't that membrane around your brain? Or it's part of a membrane or something like that of the brain, the fornix. I should have done I wasn't going to talk about this. I mean, I've seen it there. You know, when you look at the systems that the brain and the 2 hemispheres and the limbic system and the spine and everything like that, and all the glands that are in there. There's the fornix, and there's the Amygdala. Would that be Mary Magdalene by any chance? The constellations name these. They're all there. It's pointing to it. But I don't want to go into that. What I wanted to explain was, I did explain the 6 a.m. here, didn't I, and how the cycle works. Yeah? I've done that. Okay, so you've got 6 a.m. here, and so there's your daily cycle. So daily, that would mean that daily, Aries rules from 6 to 8. That fiery morning sun comes up. Yeah, that's Aries. And then at 8 o'clock, you relax a bit. You notice the plants at 6 o'clock, they the sunflower in Aries. And then, you know, at 8 o'clock or whatever, Taurus, whenever Taurus begins, then they just go like this, flaccid. And then Gemini comes up because they're going from electro to magnetic. Aries, fire. Fire is electric. Earth, magnetic. Air is electric, pretty much. I mean, and then water in Cancer is magnetic. So you go male, female, male, female, male, female. Every 2 hours we're switching over from here to here. Every 2 hours there's all sorts of cycles going on, and we're missing it. Because we go to church and they say, oh, astrology is from the devil. And all these professors, these educated ones with their fat head diseases, you know, will tell you, oh, it's a pseudoscience, astrology. You want to get into some real science, you know. We can talk to you about the scientists that are convincing the world that we need to pay carbon tax for, you know, global warming. And, you know, and you talk to some scientists that make some beautiful chemicals for GlaxoSmithKline and Bayer and all those criminals and Johnson & Johnson. And these are scientists. Oh yeah, they call themselves scientists. They go into the laboratory every day and they've got animals all around and they're injected with all sorts of shit. And these animals have got pus hanging off their limbs and they're like, because the scientists, you know, these clever individuals want to see how their chemicals react with animals so then they can give it to you. And I'm going to get into that in the second hour. What was I going to... There you go. Look, how glorious is that? There it is, that's the Ouroboros. And we're following this every night. And how many people are noticing? I mean, a lot of people don't even know that the stars are moving. Well, appear to move.
Whose idea was it to have permanent street lighting?
Yeah, exactly. All technology is an aberration because it's not friendly to you. Man, the electromagnetic radiation that's coming from this is so unnatural. It's awful. We've got our own beautiful electromagnetic harmonics. Everything's harmonics. Everything is movement. All the so-called elements that we have in our body, all this body that you see that's called Santo Bonacci is just movement. It's just motion. There's no substance to any of the 92 elements. None whatsoever. Everything is motion. And this captures the motion and tells you when you're born here, you're different to when people are born down here. A whole way different. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. These are the 12, you know, differentiations of the one mind. This is mind thinking. If you want to know, Hermes teaches that the universe is mind. Everything is mind. This guy, Walter Russell, I'm going to read a bit from him. He says, mind thinking is electric and it produces every effect of motion that you see. Mind thinking. This is mind thinking. Get to know how the mind, and your mind is connected to the universal mind, God's mind. Your mind and God's mind is the same thing. Your experiences are individual, but we're all part of that God. So it's not wrong to say we are gods. It's not wrong. You'll always get someone that says, oh, you shouldn't say that you're gods. Well, what are we? I mean, are we some worm, some sinful, dirty... What's the good of being that? That's what they teach you are when you go to church.
If you're one facet on a diamond, it wouldn't be wrong to say you're a diamond, would it?
Of course.
We're all part of the one diamond.
Yep. That's
different facets on it.
It is understood by, you know, by deduction, by... That's what you mean, that's what you're talking about. I am God. It's not that you are all of God. But you are, I am, if I say I am you, you understand what I'm saying, don't you? I am you, brother. And you believe it. And you don't think, oh, no, you're not. you understand what it means. You understand what I'm saying by reading between the words and everything like that. So we are using the same mind that God does, because that describes how everything works in the physical 3D world that we live in. Now, remember I spoke about the Orion Nebula? Yeah. Well, check out the work of a friend of mine called Danny Wilton from the States, from America, and he has a YouTube site called Starscream. Remember, that's the number 5 and 4. Star Scream 233. Sorry, that's the YouTube handle, okay? Is that legible? Yeah. My writing is atrocious. But this is the Orion Nebula, okay? I'll try and get this so you can see that back there. We got internet here? I think we have, yeah. So what's going on then? Did I... Okay, anyway, look...
Just refresh it, Santos.
Refresh?
Yep.
Let's give that... Oops. Come on, Danny. I don't really need the volume anyway, but...
Hey everybody, I wanted to bring this to you tonight. I haven't done this in a while, but I wanted to show you something where there's other unconscious art that's depicting the Orion Nebula. And what it's doing...
It's not going to work, but I don't need the commentary there, but this is the Orion Nebula, okay? Now, what you see is you always... Check it out, Google it tonight, and just look for the Orion Nebula. You'll always see this beautiful outstretched sort of arms and a head there appearing, and you'll see this very, very, very bright light. And when you focus in on it, which hopefully the video that I've got... Am I supposed to say yes? Okay, I did the wrong thing. Okay, this is not really working, is it? Okay, well let's just look at that. There's Orion. Oh, this is funny. Must be poor internet. Anyway, Danny Wilton, what's going on with that? Has many, many pictures there showing how when you focus in on that bright part, you will see a pyramid. And when you focus on that pyramid, then you'll see a Star of David. And you'll see this on his site. It's great videos, great production with good graphics. And you see then the Star of David has this little eye in it. So you get sort of this, you can see it clearly. He points it out. And we've got an eye there. Like that. And then when he goes in further, he finds like an Anu, pretty much like the winged caduceus in there. The eye in the pyramid, and then it looks like a star, and then you see these arms outstretched over above, and this is like there's a man in there. It's like Christ Jesus. Well, guess what Danny Wilton's found out? These pictures are from the Hubble telescope. He's gone to 4 churches in Europe that are with paintings in them that are at least 400 or 500 years old with the Orion Nebula. and all this detail. And this is actually where the Star of David comes from the Orion Nebula. It's obviously in there. You can see it clearly. Absolutely clearly. There it is. That's where it comes from. Orion, because it's here. Remember? Yeah, the Star of David. You see, both of those fulcrums that I showed you before, these two here, remember this one here is the bottom of the torso, and this is the top of the torso, which gives you the beautiful Orion Nebula and all the stuff that's going on in this part of your head, right? Or call it the mouth, okay? But they are both creative centres. You have a creative centre here, and of course your generative area is also creative. You can have kids, right? And they're both here, at the top of the spine and the bottom of the spine. That's what's going on. Yeah. And if only I could get some of these pictures, we might take a break and then come back and check out some of there's the Anu that he's discovered. There it is. That's in the Orion Nebula, right in the middle of that. There it is. That's a little Anu. And check out what Anus are. This is where creation comes from. And of course the Mayans, and there's many other traditions that say that Orion is the place where creation, where stars are born, where stuff happens. And it's obvious when you look at the Milky Way and you see Orion. Look, the most spectacular stuff you can see in the sky is what I told you'll see at 1 o'clock tonight. Scorpio coming up over there in the east, and Orion going down. There's nothing like that. They are the two fulcrums of the sky. There's nothing out there that looks quite as spectacular as Orion or Scorpio. And guess what? They are opposite each other. Orion is here and Scorpio is here. He's got a red star on his back. He's the red dragon. He's always been known to be the red dragon. And he always fights with the Lord, the Lamb, the rock. This is the sign called the rock. You see, when Jesus is here, he's the Lamb of God. The rock, the twin, the scarab, the lion of the tribe of Judah, the bread of life. That's the sun. He gives bread here. This is the harvest season. The wine, or the just one, the scales of justice. Be wise as serpents, yet cautious as doves, because the serpent is here and so is the dove, the eagle. I have come to cause division in the world. The solstice, division, he's the chief of it. His arrows pointing to, he points to he represents the fact that he's killing the sun on the 21st of December, the last day of Sagittarius. Winter, midwinter, the shortest day. Right? The scapegoat of Israel, the Son of Man, the fisherman. That's Jesus. That's the Son. That's also in the 49th chapter of Genesis, when Jacob gathers all his 12 sons and he blesses them. He blesses them according to, that's the first horoscope in history. Genesis chapter 21. Let's have a look at a few more of these. How are we going for time, guys? We need a break right now or in 5 or 10 minutes? So there's the nebula, okay? Look at that. There's the Star of David, clearly. And you can see this, all this stuff happening in other pictures on Starscreen. But there we have it. There it is. There's the Orion Nebula. Here's parts of the nebula. There's the Star of David, and you always see the Tetragrammaton with Jehovah, Yod, He, Vah, Jehovah. It's always in that star, in their paintings. You see, there's where Jehovah is, right in the Orion Nebula. This is the Orion Nebula all over Europe. How did they know it 400 or 500 years ago? That's the question. We still don't have an answer.
Because he told them.
Is it something to do with time? Do these people who are rubbing it in our faces know something we don't know? Well, they do.
Related to the Henday cross?
Stuff like that. Yeah, pretty related to that.
That's very, very ancient, isn't it?
The Henday cross, I think it's probably, I think it's 12th century, but it's old. I don't think it's ancient.
I thought it was much older.
But the cross that it's pointing down to in Peru, that was. But there you go, there it is again. Look at that, guys. And Danny has isolated all the parts of the Orion Nebula. They are always there. Even Salvador Dali's painting, remember? That famous one? Have a look. Check it out. If we've got it here. Where are we? He's usually got them. All of this has Orion in it. It's all Orion because that's where the Lord is. Orion is the Lord. He's the Lamb. He's the Great Shepherd. They all are. You know, all of these heroes. Remember I mentioned Bootes next to Virgo, Joseph and Mary? Bootes, he's got a scythe in his hand, right? Because Bootes, one of the 7 heroes, he's collecting, with a scythe, he's collecting the wheat. That's why he's there. And he's got a red star in him. It's called Arcturus, the bear, the brightest star in the northern skies. It's right here in Virgo. Red star here, 2 here. Betelgeuse and Orion. Betelgeuse and Aldebaran. Now, another thing I wanted to point out to you before the break, I guess 9 o'clock would be a good time for the break, yeah? Okay. All of this action is happening around the winter hexagon. Do you guys know what the winter hexagon is?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet, but you're going, aren't you? What's a hexagon? Well, it's one of these, isn't it? One of those. We know what they are, right? There's one going down, like the feminine one going down, in other words, descending into matter, the soul, and then when we've had enough of playing around in this little sandpit called the Roman Empire, that's what it is, then we go back up. Go back to Daddy, the Sun, the Father fountains. They are portals back to where we come from, which is unconditioned consciousness. Hallelujah. Right now you're all conditioned, all of us. We have conditions on our consciousness and we can't remember the divinity. So that's why we have to do this, to remember. But we're remembering. And trust you me, if you've seen Terence McKenna's stuff on the I Ching time what's it called? But anyway, on the zero time time wave zero, you'll know what's potentially going to happen from now till the 21st of December. But the winter hexagon consists of 7 of the brightest 14 stars in the sky. You can't miss it. You'll see it tonight. If you go out now and there's no clouds, I can point out the winter hexagon. In fact, if we go out in the break and it's there, I'll show it to you. This is what it is. And it's right around here. In fact, this crossing is right in the middle of the winter hexagon. You see, Orion, you remember that shoulder that I mentioned? He's got a red star Betelgeuse on there. Well, that connects to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, which is, his dog, Sirius, Canis Major, is following him, right? He's got his hand stretched out. Betelgeuse is here. Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, is there. And the small dog, Procyon, is there. It makes a perfect equilateral triangle in the sky. It's called the winter triangle. The winter triangle is right in the middle of the winter hexagon. It's beautiful hex. It's glorious. Every time I look up, I see it. I can't miss it now. Because once you know where it's there, it's like, you know, a new model car, the new Mazda comes out and your cousin's got one, so you see it, and then next thing you know, that's all you see when you go down for a drive on the freeway. You see these Mazdas everywhere that you never noticed before. It's like this, right? So there's Orion. Orion is in here, and there's his belt like this. And that's Rigel, beautiful blue star. That's Rigel. There's Betelgeuse in the middle of the hex. It's amazing, right? Well, it's a bit low. It's probably about here. Okay, just place it here. But let's put it in there. Just Sirius, brightest star in the sky. Procyon, Pollux, one of the twins. Capella, one of Auriga's stars. The little goat, the charioteer. The charioteer is up here. Auriga. Auriga is one of the 7 heroes. He's holding a little goat, Capella, right? And this is also a red star in Taurus. Aldebaran, the eye of the bull. I probably should have put it over here where Taurus is, but you get the point. Okay, let me show you where that is here. Well, there it is. I wonder if I can make this bigger. Here we go. There's Rigel at the bottom of Orion. There's Betelgeuse right in the centre. It's a red star. So let's go around. Rigel, Sirius. So we go from Rigel to Sirius. to Procyon, to Pollux, to Capella, the Eye of the Bull, Aldebaran, and then back to Rigel. See how big it is? And look what's in the middle of it. It's been there all the time. This Star of David turns up in the sky, guess when? Christmas time. You know the three wise men who follow the star in the east? That's the star, the six-pointed star. See what happens in the east? The star rises, Orion, with the winter triangle and the winter hex. So the winter hex rises, and pretty much it's directly above your head on the 24th of December when the sun is born. And these three men, you watch them, they come straight up from the horizon, and they're inside the winter hex, and they follow the star, which is Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. They follow it, and Sirius, guess where it is on the 24th of December? Every Christmas Eve, when the sun begins its journey from the 21st of December, right? It waits. It's still on the horizon for 3 days. After 3 days, which is the 24th, starts back on the horizon. You see it. Sun does this on the horizon all the time. In fact, I solar gaze, and my brother-in-law and sister walk up from their place, because I'm sort of on a hill, and I watch the sunset, and I see in Port Phillip Bay, in the Narre Warren Hills, I watch the sun set on Port Phillip Bay sort of thing, and I see it. Oh, there's east. I should be pointing that way, just not to confuse people. So when the sun sets, in summer it's over there. Now, so that was the 21st of December. Now is the 5th of March. It's about here, and believe you me, I've been telling people about this, and my sister's going, 2 weeks ago the sun was over there, now it's setting over there. You know, I said, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, of course, the sun, that's the horizon. It's 47 degrees, man. It's a long way. 47 degrees is a good chunk of the sky. And you can watch the sun doing this, walking on water, as Jesus walks on water every year. Solstice, equinox. Solstice, equinox. Solstice. So there's the winter hex. Now, I just really would love to be able to just go back and show you some of this stuff of Danny Wilton's, and you can probably do that.
But it's quite apparent that it's being done over and over again. What I'm showing you right here is I'm showing you...
Refresh.
I've highlighted the area in yellow that you see there to show you a very important archetype that you're going to see in all these paintings.
Just please have a look at that. There's Orion. And the bottom part here, you see sort of a triangle. This middle star in the belt of Orion is called Alnitak. Let me just wait till that gets big enough. Keep following that. It's going to hone in. It's going to hone into this little spot here where the Orion Nebula is, in the sword of Orion. You see, he's got 3 belts here, and he's 3 stars in the belt. This one's Alnitak. Rigel is the foot, right? And Saif is the other foot. That makes this triangle here. There's Alnitak, there's Saif, and there's Rigel. And in the middle is the sword of Orion. That's where the nebula is, right? Dig this. This is what Danny Wilton has uncovered. Can you see the outstretched arms yet? There they are. There's the ball at the top, and there's the light. That is a pyramid, unmistakably. Now, keep in mind, there's no other nebula like this. This is yeah, spectacular. The stuff that you will see when you go to Starscream will blow your mind. So again, there's the arms. It's turned to the side. And there's the pyramid. It's the Star of David. When you look, when you do the proper, put the proper light on it, you'll see a star, not just a pyramid. You getting it? And right in there is the Anu in there, and there's a lot of other stuff going on here. I won't get into it right now because unfortunately this is very small and the camera's not going to pick it up, so I might have to do this in studio. But there it is. Now this is not fixed to pick up all the detail I was talking about, because this is not one of Danny Wilton's videos, so it's not focusing on any Anu or anything like that. You need to watch his videos and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But that was just to show you where it comes from. There it is. And Danny Wilton stuff, I mean, I'll leave that on.
And I've got
there's the same stuff there. There's the arm.
Basically this thing right here, it looks like a head with these arms that are stretched out right here. B, which represents...
And then in the break, I'll try and find the Salvador Dali one, you know, the one where he's got that, and they're all the same. You'll see hundreds of these. It's all about the Orion Nebula.
Here's his body floating in the middle of the Orion Nebula, and he's just underneath this bright spot, and then there's these arms reaching out. Now, I can tell this is the Christ archetype, but I'm going to go into this a little bit more with you here. I'm going to show you something.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, and probably just get some good pics for that for when we come back. We'll have a break.